Netivot Shalom, Sefer Shemot, Parashat Vaera, and we're doing page Memvav. Shmi Hashem lo nadati lahem. Right, so in this parsha, Hashem appeared to Moshe in the burning bush, and there is like a discussion between Moshe and Hashem, or between Hashem and Moshe, which I found it very fascinating, unbelievable. It's like somebody that Hashem is asking him, not even telling him what to do. And Moshe is actually arguing with Hashem for a week. On the seventh day, it said that Hashem got really upset, right? And he told him, like, okay, you have to do that. But how Moshe even there to argue with Hashem? I don't understand. Anyway, וידבר אלוקים אל משה ואומר אליו, אני Hashem, right? So after he got enough from Moshe, he's telling him now, right? I am Hashem. Vaera el Avraham, el Yitzchak vel Yaakov, and I appear to Avraham, I appear to Yitzchak, I appear to Yaakov in the name of El Shaddai. Shmi Havaya, in the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, lo nodat elaim, right? We learned that these are attributes of Hashem. So like, Hashem is like, needs to convince Moshe and to give him like an explanation, right? He's the creator of the whole creation. You can just let him, give him a command. But no, he didn't. To say we need to explain the Vaera inyan she'hanaga b'mei avot, right? So the time of our forefather, of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the ruling or the how Hashem commanded or control was in the name of Shakai, right? Shin Daled Yud, and the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei was not known to them. But in the Yetziat Mitzrayim, then we see through Sefer Bereshit, right? I think only in Bereshit at the beginning, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei was mentioned, but then it was all Elokim, judgment or strength. But only in Yetziat Mitzrayim, right, in Sefer Shemot, the ruling or how Hashem controlled the world was in the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. יש לומר דרך מה שכתב הרב המגיד מקושניץ, will say according to what he said, זכותו הגן עלינו, כאשר ברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את העולם, right? So when Hashem created the world, before anything was created, Hashem already determined or scheduled or it was predefined how Hashem is going to control and the nature and everything, how it's going to work. And the time of all the events and everything that will happen, right? It's not coincident. It's not just, it happened because. It happened because this is what Hashem wanted to happen and this is how we created it and this is how we determine and schedule it. From the time of the creation, but he actually did it or determined it before the creation itself and on until the time of all the generation. But we learn, right? So that was like the law of nature. This is how Hashem created it. Still, there is some kind of an inner anhaga, inner controlling, right? Like a tire and a tube. There is the divine control that it's above schedule and timetable. And that is being influenced by our avodah, avodatam shel Israel. By we doing Hashem's will, behaving as Hashem wants us to do, we have that strength to change it, right? And we learned, I think, not long ago that Adam Arishon, if he was standing, right, and passing that taste, the nisayon, he would not taste the fruit of the forbidden fruit, right? Then the whole world will get to the final fix on the sixth day of the creation, and that's it. And then there were no trouble, no problems, no issues, not everything. Okay. And also, right, so he blew it. But then if also us, Israel, lo chotim, right, we could avoid the destruction of Bet HaMikdash. But we blew it. We blew it. So we could change the time. So he said also that he explained the contradiction in Chazal, right? It's not a real contradiction, of course, but this is how it looks like. That a person is being judged in Rosh Hashanah, and a person is being judged every day. So it's possible, once in a year or every day. So he said there is an aga, there is a ruling according to the timetable and the schedule. And this is the one that actually we are being judged every Rosh Hashanah, every once in a year. But again, there is an aga pnimit, a divine controlling, which is above the time, and Hashem is controlling that, and it's not being given to any of the ministers or the servant or the angel, and it could change even if somebody, chas v'chalila, somebody Hashem determine, or the judgment will determine that next year, right after Rosh Hashanah, a person should earn $10 million. That's it, in a lottery or whatever. But he did something which he shouldn't do, it goes away maybe, that's it. Or the other way around. Somebody's been determined, chas v'chalila, that he should be poor and lose his job or whatever, but he was doing mitzvot of something, he reversed that. He will be able to get a job, he will be able to get income and everything, because so he changed it. So he changed it. And he says, V'anagot ha'elu, this type of ruling or controlling, they are included in, as it says in Bereshit, right, in the parasha of Yaakov, Ve'ene sulam mutzav arza, right, sulam mutzav arza, ve'rosho magia shamayma, and the head of the ladder is to heaven, and Hashem is standing upon him. So this is the anaga, like a ladder. It's on the ground, and then it has steps. So the more you go progressing, you go climbing up the steps. You can go down, you can go up, right, depending on what you do. But Hashem himself is there and is watching. And according to that, we need to explain Anagat Shem Shakai, right? What does it mean? The Shem Havaya, in the name of Hashem Yudke Vavke, right? So we know that Hashem have 72 names, they're all attributes. So these three of them, one attribute is Shakai, which is the Shema Tzimtzum. It sounds like die, like enough, basta, right? Shamar lo alamo dai. When Hashem created the world was expanding. Then in a certain point, Hashem said, stop, right? Otherwise, the sky, the heaven, will be spreading with no boundaries. So the name Shakai is the name that's giving boundaries to the world, right? And he stopped that. And that is mean that type of name is being controlling, or the ruling by the nature law and everything that Hashem already determined, Seder u'Mishtar, law and order. And this is the main anhaga that we had in the time of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, in the name of Shakai. The Shema Tzimtzum. Shema Tzimtzum, it's also that, again, have boundaries. That was only by the nature, by the law and order. And the name of Hashem, Yudke Vavke, right, which is mercy, which is all the dimension, very abstract, was not known to our fathers. Because there was no Hanhaga Nisit. At the time, there was no miracles, or it shouldn't be miracle. Of course, everything is a miracle, but not miracle as we know it, right? And the miracle are hinted in the name of Vaera, Yudke Vavke. So only in Yetziat Mitzrayim, that type of ruling was revealed in the Yudke Vavke, because Hashem himself is the one that's in control, and he doesn't give it to the minister or to the servant or to the angel, etc. And Hashem needed to change the entire law of the nature, right? You look at the Makot, the blood, the frog, whatever it happened, the fire and the ice together, right? Hashem changed the entire nature. Why? Because he can do that. V'tam shinui, what's the reason for that different type of ruling? Why Hashem couldn't make it or look like it is natural, right? Like some people say, oh, the splitting of the sea, it was a strong wind and the tide and whatever. The frogs, yeah, they were multiplying. Everybody can try to find like a logical explanation, which is nonsense, because Hashem changed the nature. So what's the reason specifically while we were leaving Egypt? He said, because Hashem is actually not controlling the world in that divine controlling, but only when it's really needed. Only when it's really needed. There was no other option. Therefore, in the time of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, there was no need to have miracle, like such kind of a miracle. So everything could be naturally, right? And therefore, the name Elohim or Shem Shakai was the one in control, which not during the time that we need to leave Egypt, because by law and order, it was impossible to have the redemption. Again, why? Because we just learned last week. If we needed to wait another 200 years, the risk was too high, because we were in the 49 level of Tuma. So we couldn't complete the 400 years. And So we couldn't have the Geula in the Vechinat Be'ita on time. And also, we couldn't have the fast track because we were in the 49 level of Tuma. So what's the merit that we have in order to take us out, right? So we got stuck. So by the law and order, we should be remain there in Egypt for another 200 years. But it was a severe risk, right? Because Hashem didn't want us to really be going la'avadon, chas v'chalila. Then Hashem needed to reveal himself. The Yudke Vavke was actually taking control. Threw the protocol out of the window, no processes. The methodology goes with the wind, right? בלי סדר וכללים. במאמר הכתוב, כל דודי נזובר, right? In שיר השירים, we say, כל דודי, the voice of my dog, right? Or the Shekhinah is coming and it's skipping the mountain, jumping over the hills, etc., right? And we learned that it was like the same mashal about the king, that his son falling into the gutter. And if now the king needs to call somebody, that will call somebody else, that will call the servant, that will call another servant, and then the kid will die. So the king himself is jumping into the gutter. This is what Hashem did. He didn't wait for others to take us out, but the king himself was jumping, right? This is, by the way, right, one of the reasons why Hashem appeared to Moshe. The burning bush, the bush itself was a thorn bush. It could be in a very nice, I don't know, orchid or something very, right, with flowers, white thorn bush. That's the concept, that's the thing. That where we are suffering and we are in the trouble, Hashem is with us, right? So that's why he's appearing that thorn bush, to show Moshe, to show us that Hashem is also suffering, metaphorically. So that was Hashem himself, redeemed us from Egypt. He didn't wait, and he did whatever he wanted and needed to do. That's why he revealed in the name of the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kemerumaz, as it is hinted at the beginning of the revelation of Hashem to Moshe in the burning bush, right? The bush was fire, but the bush itself was not consumed by the fire, right? To show us and to teach us that the love of Hashem to us, it's infinite, it's nitzchit, forever. And even when we are like burning in chas v'chalila in the fire of the Tuma, right? Like in Egypt with the idols, Hashem is not consuming us. We're still here, we still exist. As Rashi mentioned, because Hashem is like having an empathy, is identified with us, so he's suffering with us too. And this is the same thing for all the otot and muftim and the sign and the miracle that Hashem did. Of course, Hashem could take us naturally away, right? Pharaoh could die. Egypt were busy with fighting with another nation that come to attack them, or whatever. You know, there could be 1 million reasons to look at like it's by nature. But Hashem wanted to reveal, and to reveal His anhaga and His love to us. This is what He's doing. He's changing the entire nature, the entire creation that He scheduled, put a law and order. He changed everything. And that's the main thing, that the Geulah, the redemption was by Hashem Himself, right? As it says, and we're reading it, right, in the Psukim and in the Haggadah of Pesach, Ani velo malach, ani velo saraf, right? Me Hashem, and not an angel, not a serpent. Hashem Himself with His honor. So the question is, like, what's manafkenima? So what does it matter if it was Hashem Himself or one of His minister, one of His angel? Why we had to have that divine revelation of the ruling of Hashem by Himself? But he says, this is what we learn. Inyan zed anagat malach v'saraf, when an angel or serpent are in control, then they have boundaries. They are limited, right? Their strength is limited for one task, the task only. That's it. No gray area. They're gonna do whatever they want. They're limited to the task. And when our redemption from Egypt must be in a miracle way, right? It couldn't be in a natural way. So that's why an angel couldn't do it by himself, by Hashem Himself. And that divine ruling above nature, above everything that is look like natural, it's not having any boundaries or any limitation. That's why it was Hashem Himself, the Shem Ein Sof, the infinite, and Tachlit, right, above everything. Right, and we find that Kol Inyanei Galut veGeula, so exile and redemption are infinite. So they are shayachim, they are related to our nation, but they're also related to each and every individual. That we need to go out personally, everybody personally, from his 49 level of Tuma, or whatever, 48. Some of us maybe on the first one only, some 49, whatever. And we can learn from this parasha the option or the way of the redemption. והדרך שלא מצאנו בתורה הנהגה ניסית אצל אבל, because we found again, we're repeating here that we didn't find miracles in the time of our forefathers, right? Because it was not needed. And miracles needed, only when they're needed, they appear. And that was the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Couldn't be in natural way, right? So the same way we had the redemption from Egypt, in that special way that Hashem by himself did it, right? That's the same way for us to achieve or to gain or to have the ability for our own private redemption. Usually we're living by the law, right? We keep Torah mitzvot, we go to work, whatever we do. We eat, we drink, we sleep, right? Everything according to the laws of the Torah and the law of the nature. אך ישנם מצבים בה there are situations or times when our evil inclination is really working hard on us, very strong. Then we cannot behave like normal. Then we must be in an haga al-tivit, supernatural. Same way, there was a mashal here that they bring from the Gemara about a Nazir, right? Somebody that became a Nazir, doesn't drink wine, doesn't do a haircut, and other some limitation. So he came from the south, and he jumped and he was swearing on the avodah she'gachecha l'shamayim. I think there was the story there that he saw his reflection in the water, and for a second he thought about, oh, how beautiful I am with my long hair like I have now, right? So then he suddenly understood like what he was doing. Then he shaved his hair, which basically he was not allowed to do, because Nazir shouldn't do that. But because he thought that he was so beautiful with the long curly hair, then he did it. So it's like he was doing an Vaera, but he was doing it in order for him not to get gaiva and not to do another Averot, right? That was something not natural. The same way, like Palti ben Laish, I think he was giving, forgot her name. She was supposed to be the wife, I think, of David. Shaul gave his daughter, if I'm not wrong. He didn't want David to marry, so he took a sword in the middle of the bed, like he stuck the sword. So that's it. You don't cross. I don't cross. Nobody will cross the sides. And also in Boaz, that he was swearing, right? He have a shvua, Chai Hashem. Like, how can you have a shvua in the name of Hashem, right? But these are anaga al tevit. It's no, you go against the nature, against the law, because that's the time that you need, because the evil inclination is working so hard, and you have to be really, really strong. And that's the way to get to our own redemption, right? Whatever, it doesn't have to be like a big one, like exiting Egypt. It could be in a small, tiny little things. Like if, for example, somebody's phone battery is about to finish, and he sits, I don't know, in the living room on his bed, whatever, and the charger is in a different location. He said, oh, I have to get the charger. And then he said, I'm too tired. That's it. The evil inclination won the war. So he have to go and bring the charger. Or you're eating a sandwich and he said, oh, I need salt. And then you look and you see the salt is like a few feet away and you don't want to get up. He said, you know what? I can handle without the salt. Well, again, the evil inclination win this battle again. So that's why we have to say, we have to get up and not to do that, right? So when we do that, when we are acting like in a natural way, being lazy and don't do things, it is not good. We have to do above that, right? And when while doing that, then we're like waking up. When we are waking up here down in this world, we're bringing on ourselves that divine revelation from above, from heaven. As the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh said, right? We say in Shir HaMa'alot, right? Hashem tzilcha, Hashem is your shadow. So the way we go, the shadow is going with us. So if we've been lazy and sleeping in bed, Hashem is like metaphorically sleeping too. But if we are working and we're doing something, then Hashem is doing as well, right? Midah keneged midah, right? Because the shadow is imitating us, right? Whatever we do. So when we are acting as a superhero, right? Then Hashem is doing that the same way with us. And this is Inyan, right? And this said, Ve'edu Mitzrayim, the Egyptians should know that I'm Yudke Vavke. Mitzrayim was the place of the Ervata Aretz, right? A very filthy place. So he said, yeah, that was Egypt, the land. But it's also a hint for us because we as Jews, we also have that part like the Egyptians, an Egyptian part. And again, it's not necessarily Egyptian, it's Mitzrayim, Mitzri, something that is narrow. We have our narrow places, something that is stressing us, give us hard time. So that part that stresses us, like the evil inclination, should know and understand that this is Hashem, right? And Pharaoh was claiming, he said, when Moshe and Aaron came to Pharaoh and said, Yudke Vavke sent us and you have to send these people, Pharaoh said, huh? Who is Hashem? I don't know who is Hashem. Of course he know, but he never chap or understood that Hashem, the Yudke Vavke, like it existed. There is such kind of a thing. He always believed in Elokim, because Yosef Amar Elokim Yanet Shlom Paro, and Paro knew Elokim is the nature, right? Elokim is the strength, is the judgment. This is what they know. How is it possible that Yudke Vavke, the mercy one, will go against Elokim? He thought there are two different things. He said, I don't know who is Hashem. I know who is Elokim. Right? He didn't believe in a supernatural ruling like Yudke Vavke. So that's why Hashem said, you don't believe me now. Let's say after 10 Makot, if you will believe me or not. And that was the main purpose or the reason for all the revelations to plant into the Egyptian or in the parts with us, that Hashem can do whatever he wants and he can rule with us. So even if everything look like it's closing on us and we are doomed because there is no way out, no, Hashem can turn everything upside down. But we need to do the first step. He said the same way that Anaga Al Tivit, bringing the redemption to our nation, it brings us to the private or individual redemption by doing the mitzvah kedoshim, right? That we should separate ourselves. But it's not only that; it's also kadesh atzmecha b'mutar. We learn that it's not to do the thing that we are not allowed to do, right? It's also in the one that we allow to, but don't exaggerate, don't do too much. Separate themselves from this one as well, right? כמו שכתב הרמב"ם, בעניין מצווה קדושים תהיו, בציווי ועשית ישר הטוב בעיני השם. Sometimes we can do things that halachically are okay, but maybe ethically or Hashem will not like it. So we always need to ask ourselves, will Hashem like what I'm doing or not? Right? שהן מצוות כלליות על העניינים שהתורה התירה שצריך להתקדש בם, בהיתר. ולא גדרה התורה כמה צריך. So the Torah gave us fences and boundaries for what not to do or how much to do something that we allowed or not allowed to. But the Torah didn't give us boundaries how much we need to be holy. Because everyone has his own time and place and how he behaves. Right? So always we need to ask ourselves, will Hashem like what I'm doing or not? And he says, שנשמת אדם תלמדנו לבחור מה לגב. So that the soul of a person actually will teach him to examine how or what he should do in order to bring him out from Egypt, from his own personal Egypt, and which action will extract him from the darkness and from all the level of the tumah that is sinking in, and they bring him to the purpose. And according to that, he can actually determine the boundaries. Sometimes we know if we do something that we shouldn't do, even the small, tiny little things, we know what need to do or what not to do in order to avoid that. And this is what Hashem wanted to teach us when he said, I appear in the Yudke Vavke, in the burning bush, and with the supernatural behaving or ruling and controlling. So, Bezrat Hashem, we will continue on Thursday, and we still have like one day to learn this Parsha, which Sefer Shemot, it started last week, but it's continuing, and the main thing of Shemot is the redemption, is the Geulah. So, Bezrat Hashem, I hope that we will see a real Geula very soon. Very soon. Thank you very much.
Shkoach. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee, for joining.